welcome to this episode of Joy's World, the podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I am joined by two very, very special guests. They are the hosts of their very own podcast called Black Girls Livin. Please welcome Jas and Vic. Welcome.
Hey.
I don't know why I always do that.
It's good. We have to make our own sound effects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So ladies, I always start with the same question. My listeners will know this. I always start with the same question each time when I have a guest on. And I think, Vic, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, sure.
Can you please tell me, how are you today? And I want a real answer, not I'm fine. Just tell me, like, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry? How are you actually feeling today?
I'm actually all right. I feel just like I had therapy the other day and talked to a therapist, and she was just saying there's power of just being chill. Like, yes, life is gonna happen, but you can't get yourself into state because you're just gonna be in a state all the time. So there's just power in literally just being like, you know what? I'm not gonna think about everything right now. I'll think about it tomorrow whenever I need to think about it. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be the end of the world. So just chill. So yeah, I've been in a chill mood today. How about you?
Do you know what? I am up and down a little bit. So this week has been difficult for me, but we're going to get into that, and we're going to get into therapy as well a bit more in a bit. Jas, how are you today? How are you feeling?
Honestly, I feel like this week I've like kind of been going downhill a bit mental health wise. I just feel like I'm on the cusp, or I feel like a depressive episode is coming on. And it usually happens when I have a little bit of time to myself. It's like I just kind of get swallowed by my thoughts. And I think that's when I start, going a bit downhill. But I don't even want to say we move, but equally
Yeah.
we move.
Well, we're here, and that's the main thing. It's funny because this week has been, honestly, probably it's been very terrible for me, but something that kind of, I guess, keeps me going, other than my child, is this, really, just doing this and this podcast. Like, I was literally, like, this week I had my phone on do not disturb. I'm like, please, nobody speak to me. Like, and I was like getting there, like just being like, can I do this today? Can I even do this interview? Can I speak with you ladies? Because I try to bring like energy and humor to my podcast, but in the past I have spoke about my depression and how it's affected me, and that sometimes, I don't fucking feel good, and I feel like that's okay. And I think that's why I kind of resonated with your podcast, is because you are very open about mental health and how you feel, and how we need to talk about it, especially in our community. So tell me a little bit about that. Let's start off with that. When you started the podcast, what was your reasons? Why did you start, and what has the impact been?
It's a bit of a hard one. When we decided to start a podcast, it was sort of, I want to say, on the fly. It was almost out of the blue. We used to voice note each other. We still do. We voice note each other all the time. I think I voice noted Vic about Nicki Minaj. I don't know what she did, but Vic was just laughing a lot, and she was like, "Oh, you should start a podcast." And it's like, I just knew I would never do a podcast without Vic. And I think once we got to a point where we knew that we wanted to do a podcast, I think Vic was the one that said, let's actually do it. Like, fuck it, let's do it. I think we knew that we wanted to talk about something that was quite close to our hearts. Me and Vic have both suffered with depression and anxiety, and we just thought this would be a good podcast to create. And not necessarily that we wanted to be the mouthpieces for mental health in the Black community, but we just thought we want this to be normalized. So that's kind of where we started our journey. That's why our first episode, we decided to speak about our experiences And, you know, that was really nerve-wracking because that's probably the most transparent we've been, like, outside of ourselves, if you know what I mean. And knowing that this is going out to the universe, it was very frightening for us. But after we saw the reception and everything, and we actually enjoyed recording the podcast, we were like, you know what, let's keep going. So yeah. So you also asked about impact. I mean, I feel like we have definitely made a positive impact to our listeners. We've had so many people message us and say, you know, like, listening to you guys has made me feel less alone, or I've decided to go and see a doctor or a therapist. And I think that that's major. A lot of people have agreed that, you know, this is something that wasn't really spoken about so honestly. So yeah, I think we are making a difference.
Yeah, I think so. And Vic, tell me, was it scary putting your business out there, starting this podcast and talking? Was that a scary process?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can't listen back to the first episode.
I'm the same, you know.
Yeah, I can listen back to any other, but just not the first one. It's just too much. Because I don't want to know how I was in that time. Like, I don't want to know what I said. I don't want to know, because like sometimes I'll listen back to an episode or someone will bring something up and I'll be like, oh, back then I was feeling this way. And I know during the first episode, especially, I was not in a great mind. But yeah, I think, sorry, what's the question again?
Was it scary kind of putting
your
business out there?
Yeah, definitely scary. Definitely scary. But you know, as just said, we have so many like amazing listeners who, you know, tell us that what we're saying is helping them. And, you know, we're really seeing like, you know, real conversation, you know, come out of just us having a podcast. So yeah, it's not scary at all anymore. You know, I think me and Jazz are quite all right to be like, you know what, I'm going through it this week and it's heavy and I might not want to talk about it on the podcast. We'll just talk about pop culture. And then when we're ready to disclose it or talk about it, then we will do that.
Yeah, because you have a mixture, don't you, of things that you kind of talk about. Something else that I wanted to kind of ask is, because I feel like, I know this is definitely the case for me, is like sometimes when I'm feeling down, the thought of my listeners and the people that do get in contact with me is kind of what pushes me forward as well to then continue recording, because there's been so many times where I'm like, oh fuck this, I'm giving up, I can't be asked with this shit. What kind of keeps you girls going? Like, what is that thing? Is it the listeners, or, you know, what is it, or is it each other? Because as well, you've got each other to bounce off of. So if one of you might be feeling down, the other one might be like, oh, you know, let's do it today. Talk me through that.
Yeah, definitely each other. I think that's the reason why it's so much fun and it's easy to do. It doesn't feel like a chore, you know. Obviously, you know, me and Jazz, like, we've been friends beforehand, so like it just makes it so easy. So like we go to the studio, we just talk, and it's just easy. Like, it's just very conversational. It doesn't feel like, you know, you're talking to a brick wall, and like, you know, we can banter, and I think that's what really makes it fun. Yeah, honestly, that in itself is something that, you know, we're really, really glad to have, because like sometimes you see people in like showbiz and they hate each other, they're just in a contract. Like, what is it, that Beyonce thing, when they sent one of the girls, they had a suitcase.
Oh yeah, she said you can pack your bags. She said I can send your bags.
That is it. Like, we're not in that kind of arrangement. Like, we're actually friends. Like, we actually like each other.
Do you know what? That was something I was going to ask you about, actually, being friends, because we've all got friends. I've got friends, but I don't know if I could actually do a podcast with them and make it, you know, good and consistent, because things happen in friendships, don't they, in general? So then that would kind of affect the podcast. How has that been for you girls? How have you managed to keep it going for so long?
If I'm honest, yeah, I think it's because me and Jazz once did a magazine with a couple of other our friends who we love dearly, and I like looking at how everybody was acting with the magazine. Not that at the time that I thought about doing a podcast, but I was like, okay, Jazz is a serious somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like, she has a child, like, she's got other responsibilities, but yet she's a serious somebody. Like, she's not someone that's gonna flake on you. She's always gonna keep you up to date. Like, she's always gonna say, look, I can't do this because of XYZ, or look, I can't do this, but I'll do it then. Or she's always gonna communicate. She just won't just disappear. And I would like to think I'm somewhat of a serious somebody. So I think when we decided to do the podcast, it was like we knew that what that element wasn't going to be, pressurizing.
An issue.
Yeah. But I think what we did was we tried to make the podcast as easy as possible. So we go to the studio, we edit with we just make sure that everything we do is just really simple, because when it starts getting complicated, that's when it's like, okay, I'm checking out. But yeah, what would you add to that, Jas?
No, I think I was going to say, I think just personality wise as well, like me and Vic just genuinely get on. And I know it sounds like we're chatting shit when we say like we don't argue, we don't have confrontations or anything like that. And I think whenever there might be something that's on our minds, we can express it to each other. So it's like, I think we're very fortunate in that respect, that also there's not really an ego thing. It's not like an ego battle with us. Like, we don't feel like we're battling for attention or anything like that. So it's like, it's a very pleasant experience. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just, it's so nice and lovely being able to have, and I've said this to Vic so many times, like there's no other person I'd rather be doing a podcast with. So no banner. So yeah, definitely. I think we've been
Likewise, mate.
really, really lucky to have found each other and do it together as well.
Honestly, just makes it just really easy. Like when people go like, obviously the podcast is not our job, like we have full-time jobs, but when people go, oh yeah, it doesn't feel like a job. That's how, well, obviously because the podcast isn't a job, but do you get what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like a job because of that.
Yeah, no, but it's difficult. People take it for granted, this podcast in life. They think it's just like it's easy, but there's a lot, we know there's a lot that goes into it, but obviously people listening, they might not know that. So although it's not a paid job, it's still a job. Do you know what I mean? It is a job. It's a job, definitely. Give yourselves props. It's a job. And you should
give yourself props as well. Honestly, I admire people that are able to do a podcast on their own, because honestly, I couldn't. It's a genuine skill. So big ups to yourself.
Real skill set.
Do you know what? I literally talk to my listeners like I'm just talking to a friend, just one friend. Like, I don't care. That's what I just have no filter. I don't care, because I don't have no secrets. So I feel like there's nothing I can say that's going to be too much. The only thing I never want to do is offend people. But that's why it's good that I have another pair of ears that kind of listens to the podcast before it goes out, because I never want to say something, and when you're doing it by yourself, sometimes that can be a challenge. It's kind of like, oh, do you ever get those moments you're like, oh, should we leave that in or should we not leave that in? So I think it's important to kind of have another pair of ears. Do you guys have to edit out anything like when you record, or is it very much like what you say is what you put out?
Often it's pretty much us saying it. So I might be like, so I listened back to an old episode and we were talking about Mr. Ye, Osh. And I can say it now because he's signed, but when he was signed back when he first made that song, my yeah, he's different to your yeah, blah blah blah. He went to Sony, I think it was, and it was across the road from my workplace. And I saw him, and Jas was like on the podcast, where did you see him? And I was trying to be like, no, I said to Jas, I saw him at Sony, but I was like, then I told the listeners, listen, I'm going to bleep this out because I don't know if he's going to sign anything. I don't know if he's going to a competitor. I don't want to bait his business out. But I think in the later episodes, I did say, this is where I saw him. But we would probably say it and then bleep it, because we don't want to kind of annoy the listeners, and, or I don't know. We don't really have to edit that much stuff out, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no. And I think sometimes, more so myself, sometimes when I'm editing a podcast, I'm like, oh, that didn't come across how I wanted it to come across, or I think that I might be misinterpreted, so I might just take it out just to avoid all doubt. But it depends, honestly.
Yeah, and sometimes taking out is just always better. It's always a better option. Because I once learned in journalism, if you feel a way about something, then remove it, because it might manifest itself into a huge thing down the line.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's weird. I edit out very, very little. I remember there was one thing, I'm not going to say what it was, but there was one thing, and I was saying it in jest, and it was coming from a good place, but when I listened back to it, I was like, could someone be offended by that? And I was like, maybe, so let me take it out. And I did. And there was one interview I did actually with a person, and it was just a mess. Like, it was an absolute mess. Like, it was noisy in the background, and it was like he kept getting interrupted, so I never put that one out either. So there's been very few times, but yeah, I think it's important to try and keep it kind of like, you know, as it is. So you girls, you met in uni, right?
Yeah.
And how long has it been since then? And how do you feel like your friendship has grown? How do you think you both have grown? Because obviously over time we progress. And so, you know, sometimes friendships grow apart, but clearly you two have kind of grown, you know, together.
Yeah, I think we've even grown closer, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it's 2012. It's now like 30. Wait, not 13. Wow, maths. 9 years. 9 years. Yeah, like when I told Jazz this, Jazz and our other friends, Ikwan and Naveen, were like my only friends really in the course we did. And I know a lot of people just used to say that you find your friends at uni, but I really did find my friends. Like, honestly, Jasmine, like, is a true friend, like a real friend. Like, I was going through it. Like, when I think about life, I feel like uni, when I think about like in grades, like uni was a dip. And like I had friends, like I had company, like they would come to my room and like and make me laugh. Like I really, really had friends.
Actually crying.
Oh no.
Can I just say, I actually feel like I'm gonna cry as well. And I don't know when, but at some point I know that I'm gonna cry. I'm feeling very emotional today.
Oh no. Oh, Jazz, please don't cry.
I know.
Please.
But it's good, Jazz. Like, you should take all the positive energy, because you know, you've been a good friend.
Cry.
I know, you made me cry on a podcast.
Oh, bless you. But no, like we've, you know, obviously doing the podcast, we're you know, still as close, but like I feel like we've gotten closer because of how the stuff we talk about on the podcast. But yeah, our friendship is like solid. Like we have a really, really great friendship. What was the other question? How we grown as individuals? Was that?
Yeah, kind of. How do you feel like you both have changed? Like, obviously since uni till now, so much has changed. How has that kind of affected you? Like, because I feel like I'm a better person now than I was 9 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, even thinking about school and things like that, I'm like, oh God, Joy, what was you doing? What was you saying? Who was you around? But now I'm more, you know, proud of the woman I'm becoming.
I'd say me personally, I think I've become a bit confident. Yeah, definitely more confident, a bit more confident, a bit self-assured, less insecure about the way I look. Yeah, I think I'm really happy with how I panned out as a human. Like I'm not evil or nothing like that. Yeah, I think, yeah. What about you, Jess?
It's always good to be confident.
I'll definitely say, like, yeah, Vic has literally been on my journey to like womanhood. And because when I started uni, I found out I was pregnant, so Vic was literally there witnessing me becoming a mum, and you know the impact that had on my life and everything.
Wait, you went for uni with a whole baby?
Yeah.
She really did, you know.
Yeah.
I remember one of our friends used to say, Jazz is literally waddling. I was like, you're rude. You're literally rude. But she used to actually come to the classes. While some people were sleeping, Jasmine was actually making her way. No, Jazz was actually on job.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just determined to finish uni. So I remember I just had Kaya. She was probably a few days old, but I had assignments to submit, so I had to come into uni, and Vic came and met me at the library just to see how I was. Just little things like that. You never forget it. So yeah, literally Vic has been with me through the ups, downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. So yeah, I'm so grateful for, you know, having Vic in my life, and I definitely feel like she's made me a better person. Even sometimes I say some wayward things to Vic, and she's just,
when you say this, when have you said?
I feel like I've said wayward things, but I said to Vic the other day, I was like, thank you for grounding me. Like, I think Vic always, like, she's the kind of friend that is able to talk you off the edge, if you know what I mean. Like, even when I'm having a little moan, it's like Vic will always give me another perspective, and I'm like, you know what, she's actually right. So I think it's always important to have that friend, and not
Yeah, but
have,
I feel that way with you too, actually. You always have a different perspective, and I'm like, oh, I didn't really consider that. I shouldn't. Or you always make me see that my brain is in overdrive. I think you're definitely one of my friends. Out of all my friends, you're definitely one of the only ones who's like, you need to chill the fuck out. Also, I don't know if I can swear, but you're like, you're gonna actually burn out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because I'm like, yeah, I am, and I do.
Oh, that I can't, Jazz. I still can't believe you went through the whole uni with a baby, mate. My daughter's 5, and it's hard work. It's really hard.
Yeah, it was mad. It was really mad, but we thank God. Honestly,
and you're here. We're here. We're here. One of my questions for you, and I don't know, like, I feel a little bit like, when I think about this, I don't know, like, it makes me a bit sad. But my question is, right, if you knew then, and when I say then, I mean just way back when, if you knew then what you know now, would you do anything different? And that is just in life.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would have avoided a lot of people. Put my head down and avoided. I would have avoided a lot of people, but then people love to say, oh, those are the life lessons. So if I didn't avoid these people, I wouldn't know the life lessons, I suppose. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have moved out of uni. I wouldn't have moved out to go to uni. Not that I have regrets, but that's on one of those things where I'm just like, why did I do that? But then I wouldn't have met Jazz. Even though Jazz is kind of like in the same area as me, she went to the same college as like one of my closest friends, but the likelihood of us meeting is really, really low. So if I did change things, we wouldn't have had a podcast. Probably would never have met Jazz. But I wish if I could go back, I could just focus how I did focus in college towards uni. I think I really, really think that I just lost my way, and like I would have studied something else. But I don't have regrets, because I'm like, do you know what? It's not the end of the world. And
Jazz, what about you?
I would say the same thing. Like, it's kind of weird how, you know, I don't know how many people believe in fate, but I'm the year, or would have been the year, above Vic. So I restarted the course. No, I changed courses. So I was doing midwifery first, and then I changed and said, actually, I'm going to do journalism. Complete change. I ended up spending more on tuition fees, because that was the exact year that tuition fees jumped up to $9,000. So it was literally a fuck it moment. I'm going to study journalism. So if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have met Vic. And yeah, I think if I had known what I know now, I think I probably wouldn't have put so much pressure on myself to go uni as well so early. I think I would have taken time out, because after uni, I went through a long period, even up till now, where I'm just like, what the hell do I want to do? And it's only really this year that I've probably accepted that maybe I just want to be a housewife. Like, maybe I just want to be a business owner. And it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like I was conditioned to feel like you must go uni, you must get a job that pays this amount of money, you must do this, you must do that. And actually, that's not what life is about. Life is what you make it, and if you're not happy, then you need to get out of that situation. And I think I went through a long time of not being happy and not realizing why, or what was missing, or, you know, is there anything I can do to change it, feeling very stuck. And I think it's only really the last few years I've been able to kind of become unstuck and start to learn myself again. So yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't I don't know. I wouldn't change anything, because I'm so I was about to say I'm so happy with where I am. I'm not so happy, but I'm getting to the place where I know I'm beginning to, you know, get to the I'm speaking bare French. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to be happy. I'm starting to be happy.
But do you think that's because, like, people say everything clicks when you're 30?
That's what I'm thinking as well. Like, maybe I'm getting to the age where I'm like, you know what, fuck it.
I mean, you're not 30 yet, but like,
I'm getting
I feel
there.
like people say that when you get to that age, it's like, so maybe we're on the journey of clicking.
Yeah.
And then once you get to 30, it clicks. I don't know. The thing is, I partly don't want to believe that, because when 30 comes now,
and we're
things ain't clicking.
What are we gonna do?
I know.
We'll be snapping like, what's
I know, bruv.
Nothing's clicked. I mean, I've got 4 years to go, so well, we'll see. It's funny you guys speak about uni and things like that. I went to uni for 2 weeks and dropped out because I was like, why am I here? I was never academic. I didn't know why. I think I went just because I got the grades to go, and it was just, again, it was just kind of that thing like, oh, everyone else is doing it, so I might as well just go. But I couldn't do it, and I sat there in one lecture, because remember it was freshers, just purely freshers, right? And I remember sitting in one lecture and being like, nah, this ain't me for 4 years. It cannot be me. It just couldn't be me. And again, like you ladies said, like, I didn't really know. I mean, I think now I kind of know what I want to do, but I'm not even 100% because I'm not really there yet. So I don't know. When I get there, I might hate it. I don't know. But I think for me, it's very important that we all remember that our happiness is the most important.
Definitely.
And anything else is secondary. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to ask you, because
I was going to say real quick, sorry to cut you. I feel like it takes great power to drop out of uni.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because I don't think people, especially as a Black woman, I don't know if you're from West Africa.
Yeah, my dad's from Ghana, my mom's from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I don't want to be stereotypical of your parents, but if your parents are like my parents or most Nigerian parents, they're kind of like, you dropped out of uni, like the reaction is as if like your whole life, and it's like, actually, no, because I'm making myself happy and going for things. Like, I think there's great power because you're really, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I think there's something really, really strong in being like, I know that this is not making me happy, because when I went to uni, I hated it. And I was like, I'm literally doing this so my mom can be happy on graduation day. And she was actually just moaning the whole day. I was like, why did I even put myself through this? So yeah, shout out to you. I think that's really, really courageous.
It's so mad. Like, I just remember being like, I literally can't do this. And it's funny because obviously it was only 2 weeks. That's not a long time. And my mum was like, to be honest, she was fairly supportive. She was like, okay, but Joy, just give it longer. Give it a bit longer. I can just give it 1 month.
But when
no,
you know.
I'm going home. Like, I was like, I need to come home. And it's funny because I moved back to London because I went to uni in Leeds. I moved back to London, and then I was like, okay, well, now I want to live on my own. Like, I didn't want to live at home. I wanted to be independent. And for me, I think as well, like the visual aspect. So obviously, like, when I lost my sight, I was a teenager, and I kind of like, my mum helped me be independent, like do washing, do ironing, learn to cook, things like that. So when I went to uni, I felt prepared to be living independently, but it was just the academic side. I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to write essays. I couldn't do it. Like, that wasn't my talent, you know, that wasn't for me. But yeah, so I moved back to London, and I got my first flat, and I was never looked back, really. But I think it's nice that when I hear people's like got degrees, I'm like, I want a degree. But then I'm like, I don't want to work for it. I just
nah. Do you know, a lot of people are like not even doing the things that correspond with their degrees.
Yep.
So I wouldn't, please do not worry. I like, literally, if I have kids, I'm gonna be like to them, if you don't want to go uni, that's absolutely all right. It is. I can't even believe how overrated it is.
Yeah.
Especially moving out. Like, nah.
I feel scammed. I'm gonna be honest. I feel scammed.
Literally.
It's a lot of money to pay back as well. It's a lot of money.
Okay, if you want the degree, but I feel like for me anyways, moving out, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Like, looking at it as a Victorian now, like 27-year-old Victorian, I'm like, why did I do that? Like, I'm so introverted. Well, in the middle of whatever that balance is, I'm revert. I like to be by myself. I don't really like going out too tough. I can't believe I did that. When I was 16, I already started clubbing and going to parties anyway. So uni wasn't a freedom thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you said, I can't really live life with regrets because I met Jas, so you know.
Yeah. There's so many like wonderful things that have happened with life to start having regrets.
Definitely,
It's like, yes, we wish that some things didn't happen, but equally we're so happy with the people that we've come across, the experiences we've had.
Yeah. It's like, even with the bad things, some good things come out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, there's not much you can do about regrets. Like, you can't go back and change it, unfortunately. So it's just not regrets, but things like, you're like, oh, I wish I didn't. It's like, there's not much you can do, really. We can't dwell on
done
it.
now.
Yeah, it's gone. It's done now.
Yeah, no, it's true. Just going back to families really quickly. So I remember when my depression came about, it was, I think probably since I had my daughter, but I didn't realize it for about 2 years. And like, she was like 2.5, and I was just crying a lot, like couldn't sleep. I was like, it was terrible, like a terrible time. And I remember like finally telling my partner at the time, like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't cope right now. Like, I feel so low. And then I remember kind of having to have a talk with him and my mum, about how I was feeling. And that was the scariest thing ever, because it was almost like having to admit it to myself and then having to admit it to my mum. So I wanted to ask you, like, how and when and how was it when you guys kind of spoke to your families about your mental health? Because for me, that was like one of the hardest things, like, to speak to my family about it.
But I'm so happy you
now.
did. No, I'm so happy you did. It takes a lot of courage. I don't really talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I think the most my family heard about it was probably when I recorded the podcast.
Yeah.
Same.
Like,
yikes.
Yeah, it was just a case of, I've started a podcast, and they were like, oh, what about? Oh, it's about mental health. But even then, I don't think it clicked. But then when they listened to the first episode, that's when I got a lot of message. Oh, I didn't know you were going through this, and blah 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 blah. And this is not me calling anyone out, but even since then, it's like, it hasn't been like, I still haven't sat down and had a proper conversation. Not even, I mean, I think only a few times, like, I've had that, how are you now, and blah 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 blah. But there is still that sort of reluctance to ask those kind of questions, just because I think there's concern. And I think when I did finally speak to my mum about it, it was more a case of, like, she was worried about the medication, and I don't want you to get addicted to it, and that's all of that is a myth. Like, when I spoke to my doctor, he was like, people are going to say that you're going to get addicted to it, but that's not the case. So I think there is still like a education gap as well when it comes to the older generation, because once they start hearing those words, they start panicking and thinking the worst. But actually, I don't think they realize that 1 in 4 people are going to suffer with some sort of mental health condition throughout their lifetime. So, it's it just,
and a lot of the time they might not even realize they're suffering with it, to be honest.
100%.
Because a lot of people are in denial, And I think, I feel the same. Like, I think my friends and family probably are learning a lot about me through the podcast, because it's a very uncomfortable conversation. That's what I would say. It's like, and even so, like, that was years ago now, like 3 years ago. And now, like, I don't really like to speak. I don't speak about my depression with a lot of people. Like, it's a very select few people that I'll go in, do you know what I mean? Like, into detail. Like, the people that, like, people know, but people don't know. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important when you find those people that you can speak to about it. I find that speaking to other people that have been through it is good for me, because I'm like, they get it. Whereas when you're speaking to someone who doesn't suffer with depression, it's kind of like, not saying you can't speak to them, but for me, I just find it that there's certain things or certain things I might say without saying it, that's how I'm feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think I just know my parents very well, and I don't know how. I mean, I do know how they would take to something. So I'm just like, do I want that extra pressure and all the stuff that they could say? No.
Yeah.
So I'll just deal with it on my own sort of thing. So yeah. And I know sometimes, I remember I was speaking to someone once and they're like, your parents don't know? Like, I was like, no. And I think that's okay, I think, because I don't know, I'm quite independent in a way. Yeah.
I
But
feel like
sometimes,
sorry,
sorry.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
no, go.
sometimes I'm like, is it bad I don't really talk to them about it? But I'm like, I don't know.
I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but also it's almost like sort of protection, because if you know what they're possibly going to say, it's almost like, do you need them to validate that? And I think sometimes as well, it's the same. I think we all have that, like when we're going through certain things, we know who we can and can't talk to. And I think sometimes people just don't get it. So if you were to tell them, oh, I'm depressed, they will say, what do you have to be depressed about? You have this, you have that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Don't.
Why don't you pray? Or
you go for a walk.
Yeah, why don't you go for a walk? And it's like, I can't get out of bed.
Do you know what else I hate as well? Is when people kind of say, oh, like, but I've been through da-da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
Like, and I'm not depressed. And I'm like, are you serious? Like,
oh,
are
you're
you
Super Saiyan? Exactly. Like,
oh, that is mad. And you know what? I feel like it's very personal. So actually, if you don't want to talk to your parents about it, you don't have to. Nothing in this world is by force. And this is what people need to remember. But it's people love to judge. So, okay, we're going through something. So what? I must tell every single person in my family. No, I tell who I want to tell.
Yeah, I'm like so envious. Like I have some friends who are like best friends with their parents. I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. But like, it is what it is. Like, of course I love my parents, but kind of like what you said, it's not everything, you know.
Not everything is for everybody. That's what I always say. You have to pick and choose what you tell certain people, because you know what, it's to protect yourself 100%. And as we said, not everybody gets it, you know. Something that I put a post on my Instagram a few weeks ago. It was a personal letter that I wrote to suicide, if suicide was a person. Very random, but I wrote it when I was in a bad place, obviously. And I remember just keeping it and thinking, like, one day I'll share this, because if someone else is thinking like this, I just want them to hear this, you know. Like, I think, and again, things like suicide, it's not even a word people like to use. People don't like to say it, people don't like to talk about it. But I feel like we can't hide away from what people are actually going through. It's happening, especially in this pandemic. This really, like, is happening. Like, and I feel like we need to be more comfortable with talking about death in general, you know, and understanding, because I've been in a bad place and I've had someone say to me, oh, like, if you do that, you're selfish. Like, you're this, you're that. And I'm thinking, is that supposed to make me feel better? Because 100% that stuck with me. You know, it really sticks. And I think people need to really think about what they are saying to people.
Yeah, definitely.
Think about what you're saying, because, you know, we're going through it.
I think I'm not justifying people with shit responses. I think that's whack. But I do think people don't know the right thing. And sometimes there's not even a right thing to say. Sometimes just being there and just being a listening ear. Like, even like you watch things like EastEnders, where now when a character's like, oh, I've got a depression, someone has more of a equipped answer. And I think we're even seeing changes in the media for people to kind of understand and be like, do you know what? You can be depressed, like, because of uni blues, or you can be depressed because of something tragic has happened. So like, I think we are seeing a shift, and lots of people are even recognizing themselves that actually I'm going through it too. I think, but at the same time, I do think a lot of us kind of always have to remember, and I have to do this too, that we're not all professionals. Like, if we need help, of course we can go to our parents or boyfriends or girlfriends, etc. But they may not bring you out of that state you're in. You might have to seek professional help. And of course that is a privilege, because, you know, therapy and even medication can be, you know, not affordable for everybody. I really know that. But yeah, hopefully more people take the time to just kind of educate themselves in great ways to respond, because there's so many articles now and like ways to actually check out for a friend, you know, because I think even sometimes when you be a bit scared, like, you know, your friend's going through it and you ask them, hey, are you okay? And they say, yeah. And you're like, this girl is sad as hell, but how do I say that to her? Like, because sometimes you feel like a bit guilty, like, oh, am I going to make her more sad? Because I've noticed that she's sad. Because like that would literally freak me out when, like, although I need it, but when my friends like, oh, I've noticed that you've been down lately, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't been doing a good job hiding that. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. But yeah, even as you said about death, I don't really like, and I'm probably part of the problem as well. I don't even like saying the word suicide. I hate it because I know how tragic it is. Yeah, I think I'm definitely part of the problem with that. It just makes me feel so dark, and it just takes me to places I've been.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think in life there's a lot of things I can't talk about because I feel like it's probably gonna make me cry, or I don't have the confidence to talk about it, or I don't want to say the wrong things. Yeah. Like I always say this to Jazz, I'm like, I'll put it in a backbench, and when I'm ready to talk about it, then I'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And this is what I mean. This is what I mean. So I had, like, as I said, like the letter that I wrote, and I had that sitting for weeks, probably months even. And I knew I wanted to share, but I wasn't ready. And when I was ready, you know, and now I'm trying, because the thing is like, I don't want to hide away from it, because I know it's a very real feeling for me. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to hide away from it. So I guess I'm trying to make it not normal, but I'm trying to make it not so taboo and not something that I don't speak about at all, because I'm like, I have to articulate how I'm feeling, otherwise it's gonna fester, you know. Would you ladies say that obviously finding each other has been great for you, and, you know, maintaining your friendship and doing a podcast? I feel like, as I say, like, my podcast for me is a little bit like my happy place, because it's just me, myself, and I could talk about what I want, not talk about what I don't want, you know, and it's something I'm putting out, and people are actually like getting involved. Like, people message me, people, you know, I've got blind people that message me, I've got mums that message me, I've got other fat girls that message me, black girls that message me. People relate to different parts of who I am, and I feel like this is like my happy place. I feel like I can talk and say what the fuck I want, and I don't give a shit, right? Do you ladies feel like your podcast is your happy place?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. It's gotten to the point where, you know, I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't doing a podcast. It's crazy to me to think that there's an alternate universe out there where I'm not doing Black Girls Living with Vic.
I'll be sleeping more. That's about it, really. I'm sleeping on Saturdays.
Yeah, and even to an extent, like, I feel like it's almost been like a type of therapy for me as well. Like, it's been a place where I've been able to just be myself with my friend, someone that, you know, genuinely loves me and isn't judgmental. And it's crazy because it's like I say that, but then, you know, it goes out to thousands of people.
Yeah,
every week.
That's sometimes I'm like, I'm saying these things and I'm like,
yeah,
this isn't just to Jazz.
Yeah.
This is to bare people.
Yeah. And then they'll be quoting you, and I don't know, when did I say that? Like, sometimes I don't even remember what I'm saying. I remember the other day, Vic, I messaged you, I was like, I'm scared. Like, how does she
and
know?
I remember that you said that, so I don't know what you're talking about. But we are talking for hours sometimes, so you might not remember, and that's fine. But yeah, I think, I don't even know. Sometimes when I'm in the studio, I'm like, I'm really talking into a mic about my actual problems. Or I'm talking into a mic about my thoughts on a pop culture thing. Why are people listening to this? Like, part of me is
because it's funny. It's funny.
I'm like, why is this entertainment for people? I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
There's almost a disbelief to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's entertainment, but also people relate to it, you know?
Yeah.
A bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've been like very lucky to have found like a formula that works for us.
Mm.
Because we were, you know, tackling such a heavy subject, we didn't want our listeners to feel heavy when they listen to us, if you know what I mean. So it's like we've tried to balance it with the pop culture stuff, and to be honest, it kind of goes with like however we're feeling. Like if we want to talk about something that's a bit heavier, like we'll do that, but then equally we'll say, okay, let's get on to something lighter. Like we're just always trying to, you know, I guess be a reflection of, you know, day-to-day life.
Yeah, bang on. Yeah, defo.
No, that makes sense. And ladies, we're coming towards the end now, but I wanted to kind of end it on something a bit more positive, because I feel so emotional. I think I'm coming on my period soon, to be honest.
No.
I feel so emotional.
I actually feel emotional too. I think I'm just trying to hold it because
don't ruin your beautiful makeup.
I'm gonna cry after this, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's good to lay it out. I've cried so much.
Fun.
It's really good to lay it out. So I wanted to ask you both, what does the future hold for each of you individually and for the podcast? But, you know, obviously we're hopefully coming out of this shitty lockdown soonish, hopefully, fingers crossed. Uncle Boris, please. Not my uncle, but
not my uncle, boy.
not my uncle. Jazz, is he your uncle? Because he ain't my uncle.
Nah, he's not at all.
Imagine.
He's not even an acquaintance.
You know?
Forget it.
Distant relative.
Yes.
So yeah, what does the future hold for you both? What are you looking forward to, man? What is going to happen in the future?
Girl, I don't know. I think my thing this year, like my New Year's resolution, was to put myself first. So like in all my actions and everything I do, everything I choose, I'm like, am I putting myself first? So I told my therapist about this, and I was like, I'm just being a bit more selfish. She was like, it's not being selfish, it's literally just putting yourself first and being kind to yourself rather than being kind to other people whilst you feel like crap. Because I used to do that a lot. I pretty much did majority of my life doing that. And now I feel really happy with the fact that I'm putting myself first and just being a bit more confident in saying no. I'm excited to see what else life brings. I just don't want to put any pressure on myself, because you get all this stuff you see on social media, like I bought a house at 25, or I got my, you know, I'm the head of this company at 30, or 30 on the 30, or, you know, I'm driving a Range, or all those things. And you start to feel like, Jesus, I'm 27 and I live at home and I can't drive. And I could go on. I really could go on. But I think just not to put too much pressure on myself, because life is the way life is.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. Jazz, what about you?
I would say, I guess panoramic related, I would like to, like, I'm looking forward to reconnecting with, you know, family. Like I feel so distant from everyone. When we first went into lockdown, I was super happy. I was like, I could do this for life. I am enjoying it. But now it's really kicking in. Like I feel like I've barely seen anyone. I feel like I don't know what's going on in my own family. Like I just feel very, very disconnected. And we said it in our group chat the other day. We were just like, what the hell? So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting back to some sort of normality. Not to say I was the happiest when, you know, things were normal, but I feel like as human beings, we're not made to be isolated and distant from each other. Like we're made to be around each other and, you know, just rub shoulders sometimes. Like, come on.
Hug me, brother. Where's that from? Is that from Fresh Prince? I can't remember, to be honest.
No, it's from Drake and Josh.
That's it. Oh my God. That show was so cute.
It was. I like that. And I like Keenan and Kel.
Oh, I used to love that show. Do you know what I love doing? So I love finding these people and seeing what they do in real life.
Really?
Real life, what they do now. And what's the one that's on SNL? Is it Keenan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kel put an Instagram picture of him being like, congratulations to my brother on his he got some amazing show, and he was like,
that's cute.
And I was like, this is so, and I was like, this is gonna be Vic Jas. Like, hopefully, God willing, like we do like amazing things in our life. Well, hopefully the podcast will still be going, but like, I just thought that was really cute. Like, they still kind of like, you know,
support each other.
Have that, it's cute. It's cute.
That's good, because you hear so many stories where they don't in it, they fall apart.
Yeah, I actually heard rumors that they were beefing, so I'm really happy about
maybe
that. That's not true.
Like reconcile. Maybe they like they did, but they're friends now, and that's at least they are. Because who beefs? Do you know James Corden?
Yeah.
You know the other white guy that was on? I didn't watch the show, but I know everybody loved it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yes. I think the show, was it Gavin and Stacey?
That's it. Do you remember the white guy? I can't remember his name now. He's got dark hair.
I don't watch that nonsense.
Oh, well, they were like a massive duo at the time. They were kind of like Decker. What's it, Ant and Dec?
Yeah.
And then I saw a TikTok that James Corden was asked by a presenter I won't name because I don't like him. Was asked Piers Morgan was asked by Piers Morgan, what happened to you and Dodoni? And James was like, listen, like, I'm ready to reconcile, like, and then Piers was like, listen, we shouted out to him to come on this, this show, and he said no. Wow. And James Corden's reaction, he was like, I didn't know that. I said, hey. I was like, oh my God.
That's a real beef.
Apparently, it's because James Sword and the other guy like just stayed in the UK. But I don't know if that's true.
Gosh.
I know.
It's always the story, isn't it?
What's up?
Would you feel a kind of way though if one of you like took off and the other one didn't? I don't know.
No,
that doesn't mean I can hold just because Jas is soaring doesn't mean I can now hold a grudge.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I can only support her. She's my friend. That means I don't want the best for my friend then.
Yeah, so I wonder what happened. Something more must have happened with them. Yeah. It got to be more than that. Because I feel like if you're my friend,
it could be that because sorry guys.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, if that was my friend, like, I would bring them up with me. Do you know what I mean?
But there's only so much you can. I'm not saying that he's not, but like sometimes there's only so much you can do. Because like, I've heard stories where someone's been bringing in people, the person's not going to the meetings, they're not coming with their best ideas to the meetings, they're not showing out how they should do, or they have other stuff that's affecting them right now, or maybe sometimes you do say names to like executives, etc., and they're like, we just want you, sort of thing, and that can be hard to deal with. But
I think it's a very hard one because there's only, like Vic said, there's only so much you can do as an individual. I think it places a lot of responsibility on James, because James has a wife and kids. Oh my gosh, my cat farted.
Oh,
Bella, sorry.
Right, Jas, I can't do it.
My mouth was open.
Oh,
wait, was it on your lap?
No, she just walked past. Wow! Don't look at me like that. Wow.
I'm disturbed.
Oh, still stinking.
I can't do animals.
What?
No, honestly. Oh. And it's always silent as well, so you just never know when it's coming.
Yeah. My cheeks hurt.
What? I'm sorry, what did you just see just there?
I'm so sorry, guys. I can actually still smell it. It stinks.
Because she farted inside your mouth. Oh my days.
You literally breathed that all in, Jas.
Yeah. Oh, mid-sentence. Wow.
I feel like I can smell it now too.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. I just couldn't hold it.
No, but imagine if you did. Imagine if you was holding it and you was going... Oh my God, Jasmine.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
you could tell like I'm not a professional because I just couldn't hold it.
Well, Jasmine, who could hold that? Oh my days.
Wow, Bella. And it's like, you know, when like she just came here to fart, because now she's gone back to wherever she came from. She literally came, farted, and left.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but I feel like that's why you need to have like good be with good people that want the best for you, because like as much as me and Vic do the podcast together, like I would never want her to turn down an opportunity to do something. Like even if there's, you know, someone wants us to do a talk and I can't make it, I would never say, oh, let's forget it or whatever. I say like, Vic, please just do it, like whatever, take the fee. Like I wouldn't hold it against Vic, like if she still did things to like further her career and everything, because listen, we were born alone, we will die alone, unfortunately.
My mum says that, Jazz. Oh my God, my mum literally says that all the time. She always says that. I was born alone.
You just honestly, I feel like you're bringing more problems on yourself by being bitter about your friend's success. You really, honestly, have a peaceful life.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, see, have a peace. That's a good way for us to be ending this. Ladies, obviously you've not been on my podcast before, so you won't know this, but everybody that I interview, I like to get them a little gift to say thank you for your time.
Oh, so, bless you. Thank you.
Girls, ain't no problem, please. Don't.
I've got it now, girls.
Oh,
so I've got you a small gift. So this is I don't know if you can see that little Joy's World the podcast box, right? And it's just got a few little goodies in there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got some Joy's World the podcast sweets, a pen, a bottle of vodka.
That's some alcohol, girl. You got some alcohol in there.
Oh, you really didn't have to, you know.
Thank you so much.
That's so lovely.
That's not the main present. That's the side present.
Wait,
the main present is because, right, I know that you ladies like to talk about what's going on currently and all different. You spill the tea, basically, but you need something to drink the tea from. So I've got you Black Girls Livin mug.
Oh no, this is
not all the names
with your names on it, yeah. And here we go. And on the back, I got this from your Instagram. On the back, it says, "Always believe in your yay."
I'm actually gonna cry.
I want you both to always believe in yourselves and keep going, because you are making a difference. And I just think it's really important that we keep talking about mental health.
Crying. Joy, thank you so much.
When I said I was gonna cry before, I bet Joy was like, wait on it.
No, I'm literally trying to keep myself together because I am.
Gosh.
Joy said, I bet. Wow, that is
really thoughtful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope you both like it. I hope you drink tea and coffee.
Oh,
well, I'm gonna be using it for everything.
No, I'm literally a tea drinker. Like before lockdown, I remember Jazz. When I used to meet Jasmine before we used to record, I would always get tea. I'd either bring tea or I'd buy tea.
Yeah, the tea's great. I love it. Do you know what? Best part of England, I think. British tea.
Yeah, they even like when my mum goes to Nigeria, she'll take it with her. Like PG tips, yeah. I don't know why.
It's nice. Ladies, tell everybody where they can find you, like your Instagrams and Twitter, things like that.
Yeah, sure thing. I'm on Victoria Sunisi on Twitter, Vic Sunisi on Instagram. You can catch the podcast on Black Girls Livin on everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Yeah, we're on TikTok now. My account is jazz_BW. But yeah, you'll find all the tea on Black Girls Livin. So yeah, that should be the socials. That you use if you want to hear more from us. Thank you so much, Joy, for having us.
Yeah, I truly appreciate it. I'm so happy this happened.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the gifts as well. Like that is like honestly the most thoughtful thing. It was really lovely. Thank you.
So thoughtful. Thank you so much. And as we said, we honestly appreciate what you do. Like you're amazing. You're a force. And even just the fact that you do this by yourself is also like I just said, it really is a big deal because we know how hard it is to do it, even with two people.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to you. Big yourself up because it's not easy.
Thank you. No, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. As I say, like I started from the bottom but in the words of Drake, started from the bottom and I'm still here at the bottom.
Amen.
Amen.
We're getting there.
And you'll continue to be here. You'll continue to thrive and shine. Amen.
speak it into existence. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Joy's World the podcast. Guys, remember to follow your dreams and follow me on Instagram at Joy's World the podcast, Twitter at JoyXOXO. Email me if you're a hot guy, joyspodcast@hotmail.com.
Hey.
Remember to stay happy and live your best life always.
Amen.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thanks so much, Joy.
You're welcome.